Okay, in this video, I am going to teach you how to edit your photos. So I'll show you what I have pulled up on my tabs. I've got my Google Classroom. I pulled up the Still Life Project Proposal Google Slides, and take a minute to look over these questions because there's some things you need to consider before you start editing your photo. First, what medium are you going to use to create your still life drawing or painting? This is important because if you're going to use a black and white media like pencil or charcoal, you'll want to edit your photo to black and white. If you're going to use a color medium like acrylic or watercolor, then you'll want to edit the color photo, okay? What surface are you going to use? This is important because if you have a canvas and that canvas is square, you're going to want to edit your photo to be a square. So you kind of need to plan out some things before you start editing. You want to kind of have a plan or in place of how you're going to draw this still life. Okay. Next, I have my Google Drive pulled up. I have all my still life photos that I'm looking at. I've clicked through them all and chosen one that is in focus and has the best lighting and is my favorite one. Okay. And then you're going to pull up a new tab that says Pixlr, Pixlr.com. And I'm going to be showing you how to use, there's two options, Advanced Pixlr. Playful Pixlr is more simple. It's kind of more like the options you'd see on Instagram or on your phone editor. Advanced is more similar to Photoshop. And that's why I'm teaching you Advanced, is so that you can learn a few things, because it seems complicated until you have someone kind of show you. So that's why I'm here doing that. Okay, so I'm going to click on Open Image. And I'm going to choose it from my Google Drive. And I have to move this because that window is in the way. Okay. And when I don't know what size I want my photo, what resolution, I'm just going to stick with centered, the one in the middle. Okay. First thing you want to do is if you need to rotate your image. So I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, Rotate. Oh, it's telling me the layer is locked. So that's layers are right here. Here's this little lock. I'm just going to click that, and now my layer is unlocked. I'm going to go to Transform. Okay. Maybe I just need to use image rotation. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, zooming in and zooming out. So what I found is if I use my two fingers on my Chromebook to zoom in, that zooms in my whole screen and all that stuff. So I take my two fingers and I squish them together. So I want to see all my options here. If you don't see all these options, you need to zoom out. Now, if you want to zoom in on your image, use this little slidey tool right here. Okay. I know we want to use our fingers, but then that just zooms in the whole screen, not just your image. Okay. So this way I can just zoom in on my image. Okay. So first thing I did was, did the wrong thing first. Image rotation, and rotate it the correct way. Okay. Then we're going to crop. So this is the cropping tool right here. It's very similar to the one in Google that you're used to. Okay. And some things to consider when you're cropping. Right now I'm on free, which means I can make my rectangle any ratio I want, but I'm going to use ratio because if you're doing a square, you want to keep your ratio 1:1. So that means whatever size you do this, it will remain a square. It'll keep your ratio the same. Okay. And think about zooming in and cropping on your favorite, most interesting area. That's one way to just eliminate unnecessary details or distracting stuff, is zoom in and crop on the best area of your still life. Okay. Other ratios, if you're doing a rectangle and you just want a nice, basic, familiar rectangle, 3:4 is a really good ratio. Or if you want it horizontal, you'll put 4 here and 3 there. Okay. 3:4 is very aesthetically pleasing, familiar rectangle that most canvases and paper are going to be very similar to that ratio. Okay. All right. And then I'm just going to size that down and zoom in and crop on my favorite areas. As you can see, the lines here for rule of thirds are on there. So you can line up some of your most interesting things with that rule of thirds. My largest makeup palette is kind of a focal point. So I'm going to have that kind of be on my rule of thirds line. I still have a lot of empty space right here. So I'm going to zoom in and crop just a tiny bit more. Maybe. So another thing to consider is, do you want your still life contained or uncontained? Contained means everything stays within the frame. Uncontained means you have things going outside of your frame, which makes a very dynamic and interesting image. Okay, I'm going to hit apply. Now, if you ever crop and you don't like it, you can just go to edit, undo. There's also the history right here, which you can't see because I'm filming my screen right here and that window has to be there. So I can't even move it. It's kind of annoying. But underneath it, this history, it'll list everything you've done editing wise underneath it. And if you don't like anything you've done, you can just click back and revert back to however many steps you want. Okay. So that's kind of nice to see what you've done. All right. Now that it's a little smaller, I'm going to zoom in. Okay, the next thing you want to do is edit the lighting. Actually, okay, at this point you need to decide, are you going to be doing a black and white medium or color medium? If you're going to do color medium, I want you to skip this next step and save it till the end. If you're going to be doing black and white medium, this next step, you're going to change your image black and white right now. So you're going to go to adjustment, and you're going to go to desaturate, and that turns your image into a black and white image. Okay. And then you'll continue your editing here because you want to edit it to be a black and white image. Now, if your final image needs to be color, then I don't want you to desaturate right now. Okay. Oops. I need to go to undo. Undo. Okay. Color's back. All right. Now I want to show you how to adjust your lighting. This image is quite dark. Okay. And so there are a million ways to edit lighting: highlights and shadows, exposure, curves, levels. What I've found helps the most, in my opinion, is I go to levels, and you can see this kind of graph here. And this is graphing out your values, your midtones, your darks, your lights. Now, what you want is and then you have these 3 arrows that you can slide and manipulate. Okay. I'm going to move this over so you can see what it does to the image. As you can see, since this is a very dark image, all my graph stuff is closer to the darker end. I've got this big gap here where my lights are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my light arrow closer to the peak. Do you see how that's lightening my image in a very natural way that does not wash everything out, all the detail out? Okay. Now, if I go too far, then that's getting to be too much. Okay. You want it kind of near the base of where those values are starting, where the graph is starting. Okay. And then you can move your lower one in towards the bottom of that thing. Okay, you can see my darks are getting darker. Now, I don't want them to look pitch black and lose all the details. So that was too much. So I don't know that I even needed to do that at all. Maybe a titch. Okay. And then I rarely do anything with the midtones, but you can change the general lightness and darkness of your midtones. Okay. But I don't find that to be super helpful. So with that tool, so that one stays at 1. Or does it stay at 0? Nope, it's at 1. Okay. Actually, I'm just going to hit cancel and redo that. Adjustment, levels. Okay. There we go. So I just bring those 2 arrows in toward the peak and hit apply. Okay. The best way to learn photo editing is just to play with this stuff. And I mean, you can always undo anything you don't like. So if you want to know what these other things do, highlight and shadow, exposure, curves, play with them, see what they do. It's cool. You'll find some cool stuff. Okay, next we want to edit the color. Now, I found the most helpful thing. See, all of these are for color. Okay, and I'll just show you the ones that I find helpful. Temperature and tint. Now, if you used an indoor lamp, that lighting can tend to be very yellow, very warm. So you want to cool your picture down. It'll turn your lighting a little bit more blue. I'm going to exaggerate it so you can see. Way more blue, okay? Now, if your light is outdoor lighting and it's very cold and blue, or maybe you had a certain light bulb that was very cool and you want it to feel a little bit warmer, you can put it towards the warmer side, okay? As you can see, I'll do it a lot, way warm, okay? All this editing stuff, more subtle is better, okay? I think I want a little bit more warmth because I like what it does to those pinks. But you don't ever need much. Or maybe I want the green background to stand out a little bit more. Then I can move it to the cooler side. But I'm going to do it just a titch warmer, okay? And hit apply. Okay, another one I like is vibrance. This just makes your colors a little bit more vibrant. Now, don't overdo it, okay? Or underdo it. So that just makes your colors a little bit more vibrant. Or you can do that with hue and saturation. You can bring up your saturation a bit. Okay, obviously you can overdo it, okay? Just a little, doesn't take a lot. Okay, so I think I've shown you everything I wanted to. Rotating, cropping, fixing your lighting, and fixing your color. Okay, at this point, when you have it how you want it, you're going to share it. So save. Okay, and it's always nice to rename it so you know which one. Edited, or still life reference photo, or I've done this several times, so you know I gotta edited number 1. Keep it a JPEG. I think the quality should be fine, 90% high, and I don't think you need to change anything here. So you just hit download and choose where you're going to have that saved. Okay, mine's just in my drive. Save. Okay. And if it's saved, you're going to have this window down here that tells you. All right, now if you are doing color medium, I want 2 things. I want a color version and a black and white version. Actually, for everyone, I want both. I want a black and white version and a color version, okay? So now you'll go to adjustment and desaturate, okay? And then save that one as well. So I'm going to save it edited 1, BW for black and white. Okay. All right, now you are ready to put it in your Google slide. So I'm going to open up the slide here. I'm going to click on the first slide and I'm going to go to Insert, Image, Upload from my computer. Really, that's just going to upload from my drive. Okay, and I'm going to look for those images. Edited 1, black and white, open. Awesome. I want you to make it as big as you possibly can so I can see it. I don't want to see tiny little images. Okay. You can even cover up where it says black and white version. Obviously, at this point, I can tell which one's black and white and which one's not. Okay. And then I'm going to insert my color version. Okay, and this is going to help me a lot because I'm going to give you feedback. I'm going to say, whoa, your color version's gorgeous. You need to do a color version. Or I'm going to say, you know what, your image looks way better in black and white. You know, it's nice to see both. So you can really decide which is going to be better for your project. Okay, and then the next slide asks you to answer some questions. It helps me if you change the color of your font. So text color, just go here. And I mean, don't make it yellow, make it something I can read. What medium are you going to use to create your still life drawing or painting? I'm going to use watercolor. Woohoo! Okay. And then just answer your questions in a new text. And then, I don't know what it looks like for you guys, but at some point in Google Classroom, you should be able to hit submit, looking for a blue button that says submit. That way you've actually submitted the assignment. All right. Hopefully that all makes sense, but let me know if not. And I look forward to seeing what you guys are going to be doing. Thanks.